from like Jordan from Brooklyn. So all I'm saying is you could tell the richness of the land from the people that are on the land. We are a reflection of the land in which we come from. Rich land, more land, right? Royalty, from the soil. Kings County, it ain't where you're from, it's where you're at. Because if the king leaves the castle, it's no longer a castle with a king in it. It's wherever the king goes. So wherever you are, wherever you land, wherever you are, that's your kingdom. Right. You carry the kingdom within you.
He said, everywhere that I visit, I got land.
Everywhere that I visit, I got land there. How can niggas stand there and sound like them? Hello, push whips, push coops is yellow. Come on. So I'm just giving you, we could talk about the richness of this land that we're on right here, Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlantis, Atalanta.
Let's go there.
The red clay.
That's something.
The land of gold.
Let's reconstruct, right? Fuck that. Let's reconstruct.
Yeah.
Y'all ready?
Yeah, let's go in.
Look, let's set the record straight out the gate. Atlanta's not down south.
Right. Got it wrong.
All right. See it there.
Right?
Well.
Atlanta is up south. And New York is down north.
Right.
So if you looked at the topography of a map, right, it will show you that Atlanta is at a very elevated elevation, right? It's on top of a mountain at a very high elevation.
Right.
New York is sea level. We all know that, right?
Right.
Atlanta got no seas over here. So on the map it go like this, right? So what's the orientation? They always got us looking backwards.
Upside down. So is Miami the head or the tail?
True.
You feel me?
Right.
Is Miami the head or the tail of this shit?
It is so. Yeah. Right.
Right? Because it ain't coming from up there.
Right.
America come from down here and up. Right? This is a continent.
Right.
So we even looking at it backwards. You feel me? But the Empire State represent king energy. Atlanta represent queen energy. You know what I'm saying? And they both represent two hemispheres of the brain. So the right and the left. New York categorically is the home of the conscious community, right? Which means it's what? Left brain centered.
True.
This shit is all intelligence.
Right.
Logic and reason. I want to debate you.
Right. Logic and reason.
I want to argue with you, nigga.
Gotta see receipts.
Yeah, who got receipts? I need primary sources.
I need sources.
Right? I'm going to sit here and read all of your primary sources. I'm not even going to listen to what you're saying with my heart.
Correct.
Only my head. Pause. So that's New York energy.
True.
Atlanta is the home of the queen energy. It lays on the 33rd parallel. Right? Lays on the 33rd. 5 is man, 6 is woman. It's on the 33rd. Right? It's a feminine grid. It's controlled mainly by the feminine principle here. Right? Women run this shit. From the strip clubs to government to corporate.
To the vegan man.
Right?
Yes,
To the vegan mile. Right?
Right.
So we just got to be understanding and real with ourselves so we can always be knowledgeable and cognizant of where we're at any given time because we navigators. You feel me?
Yes, sir.
Right.
and we far away from home, but we home.
We home, no doubt.
Right?
No doubt.
That's a New York trait.
Like you said, King's gonna make
Nigga, wherever you go, it's home.
It's home.
Because wherever you go, there you are. So
Right.
it don't matter where you pick your castle up and take it to. You taking New York with you in your heart, any and everywhere. But we had to alchemize what that means, right? Because you got to retain your identity. You have to have a personal identity of what it means to be a New Yorker. Because the default identity or definition is you're a Roman, right? You come from the Empire State, and you are a representative of that empire, and you go to smaller provinces, and you knock them over and take their queen.
That's what you do.
Niggas went with crack cocaine all through the South and was like, who the man? Right?
Knocked them off.
Knocked him off, took his shorty, set up shop, and had all of the nerve to just be chilling in that shit like it was home. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Set the sofas up.
Yeah, this niggas is hating.
Right.
Like, you just killed the big nigga. You killed the biggest nigga on the block. You toppled him and took his lady in public.
We took states over,
Right?
bro.
And you were dead niggas.
For real.
You were dead niggas, like, say something. And then have the nerve. They'll call the fucking the cavalry down.
Yeah.
Your son is they front.
Yeah.
Right. Son, they not
I'm
feeling
like,
me.
no.
Yeah.
How Ice Cube said, my homie got clapped. He was going to Jack. St. Louis niggas, what they call his back. The
Right.
arrogance. So
True.
you see it in the West Coast. They had the arrogance, right? In LA, these center locations. But the New York shit is, you know, the Empire State. It's a Romanistic mindset. So that's how we go around the world showing up. Like, nigga, we New Yorkers.
Yeah.
We come from Rome. Y'all come from provinces connected to Rome. Y'all
Right.
ain't never been to Rome.
Right.
Y'all part of the
Remember
colonies of Rome.
ecclesiastical?
Huh?
Ecclesiastical? How the Empire State is the only.
Yeah, the Empire State, I'll give you some scientific, super duper, right, esoteric, lawful receipts for that statement. Okay? In law. Because all law is based on religion, right? Hence the fact that it's ecclesiastic. The only place that's considered America, like, or part of the empire is New York, because it's contingent upon the archdiocese of New York, right? Wherever the archbishop is at, that's where the motherfucking,
Right.
that's the only place that's popping at.
Nah,
That's their ecclesiastic.
That's their head. That's their,
Right.
everything else is just
It's
whatever.
It's whatever, right.
Yeah.
They paying taxes.
And the way that they were able to finesse and freak this shit is through New Orleans, because New Orleans incorporated Napoleon law, right? By that adoption, and they brought Napoleon law onto this land, and that merger caused some sort of like freakish way that they operate. But that's how they operate.
Right.
I see that,
They
yeah.
operating through this New York charter and this New Orleans magic, right? With their freakish magic, the way that they do their shit, because you know the French is freakish,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
Their French masonry is different. Their French magic is different. How the French orientate sexually with melanated people is different on the planet, right? So you always know, especially the adversary, his mental proclivities is based on his sexual propensities.
Right.
You feel me? You have to study, in order to study your enemy, you have to study the way that he deals with sex as an orientation.
Right.
Because that tells you everything that you need to know about a man. Right?
I see. Yes, you did.
So, you know, it's interesting, like I said, but if we reverse some of these concepts, you know what I'm saying, and see some of this shit for what it is, then, you know, we can really, you know, reverse it just by observing it and calling it for what it is.
Right.
That's how you, like, we don't acknowledge the power of our sight. You know what I'm saying? Because the sight is connected to your brain. Your brain is responsible for your perception, your feel. Like, what you materialize into your reality is based on your perception. And your perception is based on these eyes that's connected to your brain, sending signals back to your brain. Your brain rearranges this particular narrative, and that's what becomes your script. And then your magnetic pole, which is your G center, magnetizes everything to you to make that a reality. So when we start just changing how we perceive things and how we see things, that's how they like, if you want change, what you gotta change what you see, and everything that you see will change.
Right.
True.
That's what they mean.
True.
Right.
True.
Secret degree.
But see, they got
Yeah,
two
because-
brains though.
At a minimum, yeah.
Yeah, they got two brains because one brain is in the head and one brain is in where.
Stomach.
All right, so
You know,
that's where the heights got to rise up to.
right.
We thinking with the brain in the head.
It's actually 4 of them joints.
For them.
Yeah, one is in the spleen,
Mm-hmm.
and one is in the Johnson.
The
Right?
go-
That
and
nigga
the-
got
yeah.
a mind of his
Gonads.
own.
Gonads.
Right.
I was
Yeah.
thinking that too.
Right.
I was thinking that. Now you got a spleen though, bro. I can feel you
You
on
know
that.
what I'm saying?
That's the
We
truth.
all
For
know.
real,
Family
for
jewel
real.
box.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
No,
we
that's
all been
true,
there.
son. That's true, son. That's why you gotta
We
be
been there.
Really thinking from the head on your head. Yeah,
you
man.
gotta think from
Yeah.
the head on your head, because the little head will take over.
Mm-hmm. And that's
But-
what's going on right there right now.
Yeah.
But the heights of it is though true though, Blue, it's life. And we gotta start really thinking, you know what I'm saying? Like on higher levels and knowing
why we on
ourselves.
Think
you know?
Champs.
That's why we got Think Champs.
That's why I'm loving it, because at the end of the day is, you know, they start stealing Africans and African American brains.
Mm-hmm.
You know that?
Right, of course.
You know that, Rev?
What?
That they start stealing African American brains
Yeah.
From the past?
right now.
They've been doing that.
haven't
They
they
been
done
doing
that?
When haven't they been doing that?
Yeah.
They going in the tombs and doing that
They-
to this
On,
day.
to this day, live. On,
Well-
yeah.
Really, because they're not using it.
They're not using what?
You
They
going
brain.
there with it? All right.
They're not using their brain.
Yeah, that's why they stole it. Because
Right.
they're putting everything in it.
Right.
I get it.
You know what I mean? They stole the brain right now. You know what I mean? Because everything that's in there is programmed to be in there. They're not thinking for themselves. You understand? They on the heights where they just like, what they say do, that's what we doing. You understand? When right now, we supposed to be building, we right now supposed to be standing up for our reparations on a unity standpoint. You know what I'm saying? But the whole distraction.
Again, if I could control your narrative,
Mm-hmm.
I could control the conversation taking in your place in your head.
Mhm.
That's going to control your reality, because your outlook is going to be based on your perception. How you're perceiving reality
True.
is how you're ordering yourself, you know what I'm saying, through the day. They like, yeah, we could collect the brains because they ours.
Right.
He who controls your mind controls your destiny and your
Yes.
behind.
Right.
True,
Right?
sir. Yes,
So
sir.
they like, there's evidence that we got that these niggas ain't thinking for themselves. Look at reality,
Right.
right? The evidence of you thinking for yourself, or melanated people as a general thinking for themselves, is them not having the reality that they have access to.
True.
And especially the trick is the melanated woman that could do it overnight, literally, not figuratively, literally, because she has the strongest magnetic field. She reorients and refreshes and replenishes her blood every 28 days. She is the keeper of time. That's another falsehood that we need to diminish. And because you know we in a different place, we could say things as quantum rather than either or. I don't like playing that dualism game.
Right.
Right. In order to break out of, again, his trap is dualism.
That's
Right? He's selling you this concept that we can perceive, granted, that we exist in dualism, when no, we exist in singularity and we exist in quantum. It's not either or, it's both. Simultaneously.
Simultaneously. Right.
True, true.
So the woman also is a keeper of time. Naturally, her magnetic pole or her magnetic field, right, emanates, your magnetic field first emanates from the heart, not the head. Your
Right.
magnetic field, your EKG reading says
Right.
that
Your heart.
your field
Your
from
heart
your heart
field.
goes the furthest out, and it travels at the speed of thought,
Right.
right? Which is exponentially fast. I don't even know the exact precise mathematics to that shit. I would have to Google it,
True thing.
right?
Yeah.
But it goes extremely far. Hers goes furthest, and she connects first with the solar winds, and the solar winds is the solar magnetism from the sun. The sun is emitting information. That's how we eat. We eat from the sun. The sun is just transmitting info. That's all it's here for, giving you the current, latest information. So what does she do? She's the dreamer. She's intuitive. She's right brain, right? But she don't got a place in the conscious community because they ain't even put her name in it. She's subconscious.
Right.
She's not conscious. She's not the male, right? Atlanta is subconscious. This shit is spiritual out here.
Right.
People come here and manifest. The red clay is magic, but it's sitting on a crystal.
Right.
So she got the magnetism sitting on a crystal on top of red clay. And the presence of red clay denotes what? That there's iron in the clay. And what is iron responsible for?
Blood.
Magnetism.
Magnetism. Right.
And blood.
Yes, sir.
So she bleeds on this clay. This was Trail of Tears started out here
Right.
in North Georgia, Because they found gold out this bitch.
Facts. In the
So
mountains.
before they found it in motherfucking, they keep rocking niggas to sleep about the 49ers. They found gold in North Georgia first.
Right.
No doubt.
Blue Mountains.
And then they had the Indian Removal Act.
Right.
Right? And that's how people got caught in the pickle, because the Indian Removal Act was like, look, they gave them the right to now come and kill you and take your land because you possibly had gold on it. So the indigenous people themselves as well were switching to indigenous identifications. Yes.
That's 30 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
Start up.
Right.
Yeah, thanks. That was hot, for real. Nah, he's dropping the jewel there, for real.
Yeah. This is you don't think tank, so
For real. That was
bring it.
amazing.
Yeah.
Man, that was serious, because nobody knew that right there.
Smoke
boy.
these crackers up. We gonna smoke these crackers. Look, smoking on Benji.
On Benji.
Right.
On bench.
Right? We bodying these niggas. I'm smoking on
Benji.
Benji today. Right?
And,
If the sliders can slide, you know, come up with all that beer. Look, Sean.
it's a dude.
Smoking on Benji.
Sean.
So good.
Smoking on Benji, man.
There you go.
Plays him out.
These crackers.
For real, for real.
On Benji.
Yo, shout out to Professor James Small, man, for restoring the resurrection, melanated masonry,
Yes,
bringing it
sir.
home,
Salute.
speaking like a true elder, responsibly, you know, asking the pertinent questions that need to be asked.
Yes, sir.
How could a nigga be a progenitor or proprietor of a system called masonry, right? That they say, even if they want to say that it started with the Greek, nigga, the pyramids was built thousands of years before the Greeks showed up for lessons.
Right.
So if masonry, right, in its operative form is dealing with building guilds or measurements, length and width, that's law, right? The acronyms for law is length and width. Because this whole shit is about measurements, right? How the fucking a student come along and be a master before a master teacher?
Right.
And y'all fell for that. Again, they gauge society to see, are you thinking for yourself?
Right.
They would know by the questions that you ask.
Right.
That's why they ain't let niggas like us talk in church.
Right, that's true.
Right? It's
Right.
Yes, that's why you said our brains are theirs.
Yes. What they taking them?
100%.
They own them.
Yeah, they own
Program.
They
They're
own
running
them.
them right now.
They own them. So,
Society, man.
you know,
Well-
what we really, you know, because we on Think Champs,
Right?
and
All right, black and black. Once again, this song, We Black of Black. Let's
Yes,
go
sir.
into that, though. For real, we had to take a little break. Hope y'all enjoyed that video, you know. You had to give y'all a little
Fire.
swing to it, you know what I mean?
Little sound.
But definitely, though, let's go into it. So, yeah, Blue, we was building on, you know what I'm saying, these, what the Indian used to call them is the fork tongue man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Fork tongue, man.
Because the fork tongue, he had two tongues, you know. He said one thing but did another. That's why they call him the fork tongue.
right, he's into
Yeah,
dualism.
he's a
Right.
snake. But definitely though, we're gonna be building on Atlantis, the original Atlanta, and how things was built, you know, and what was here. You know what I mean? So let's go into it, man. That was deep, yo.
All right, where do we leave off that you want to follow up on?
Oh man, just the whole point of just like we was building on the Indians or the
Okay,
indigenous
yeah,
people.
the Indian Removal Act
Yes, sir.
dealt with the fact that once they found gold in the North Georgia hills, Delunga, what's it called? They got a name for this shit up here.
Galanaga.
Delanago.
Dollar nigga.
Delanega, right? Then they came with something called the Yazoo land fraud.
Right.
So they used paperwork once again because they was at war with indigenous, mutant, maroon civilizations.
Right.
Who was whooping their ass in
Right.
Georgia as well as in Florida.
Right.
Right.
Super sapiens.
So they were siding with different quote unquote tribes, you know what I'm saying, as
Right.
scouts and things of that nature, or to fight their dirty wars. Then they created something called the Indian land fraud, and the Indian land fraud was their first attempt to steal the land by fraud, right? By assigning different colonizers hundreds and hundreds of acres of land that wasn't theirs,
Right.
right? So they was using paper gangsterism again to run circles around our people. Our people were still fighting. The Andrew Jackson came in, right? Him being the captain or whatever capacity he was in.
Right.
He was down in Florida fighting with the Seminoles and
war.
getting washed up.
Right. Right.
Getting washed up.
So once he becomes president, he passes the Indian Removal Act. So now they can forcibly take the land that belong to these melanated people. And some of those melanated people chose to change their designation because the Indian Removal Act gave the European permission to now come, or the colonizer permission now to come and kill people and take their land, take it by force.
Okay.
So, you know, that creates this situation where we look at the Trail of Tears, and I ask people, I say, look, first of all, if they say, oh, the Cherokee and what have you, the Yamasee left over here and they had slaves, they were walking barefoot from Georgia to Oklahoma, right? And they got there in under 25 or 30 years managed to build Black Wall Street. We need to have parades in every city in America because there's no other quote-unquote American who have overcome and embodied the true spirit of what they sell to be the true American story or the true American dream. These people redeemed themselves from being mere slaves to become masters of their industry. Where did they go to school to learn to become doctors and lawyers? And they build jetneys, right? They build hospitals. They built delivery systems. They said they had airplanes.
Right, airplanes.
Right? They had whips and all of that.
Right.
So why no one can explain this? These are barefoot African slaves. Why are you not celebrating them?
That's so
Right?
true.
Where's they plaque?
Right.
Where's they monument built on some American shit that they overcame these odds to build Black Wall Street? No. Those people were melanated geniuses all along, right? And they got ran off of their land and ran into them situations where they still was able to, you know, overcome whatever the obstacles was. They saying, the Gaston individual, they're gonna sell ex-slaves land that got oil, is oil rich.
Right.
And he was selling oil internationally,
No, we know.
right? And that's when they came in, because there was a big deal on the table, right? And it was like, nah, you can't make that. You're gonna upset the balance of political power in these particular hemispheres, because he was dealing with Europe, I believe, selling oil. Now we can see to this day how personal that gets with this war going on right now.
Right.
True.
Right? And they embargoing people, telling them you can't sell this and you can't sell that, and we're gonna bomb you out of existence, or you know, sanction you out of existence, embargo you out of existence, right? Close you off from aid and resuscitation. Is they not telling them that now? So back then they just flew helicopters over a community of melanated people and bombed the shit, and they keep telling you some bullshit about some little children touching white women. That's the same thing they use with Emmett Till. Right?
Right.
Every single episode involves that. Yet the only thing that changed post-civil right is that melanated men can now fuck Becky without having to worry about swinging from a tree. That's the only thing that changed. Am I lying?
Nah,
So in 1955, you say that the impetus for starting the civil rights movement was because Emmett Till was eyeballing, right? Some Becky. Right? And then later on in 64, 65, 10 years later, once the legislation gets passed, that's what it got passed for. So then black men can go to bed with white women and marry them without threat of hanging from trees? Because that's the only thing that we can step back and say, oh, that's what we saw changed. And then you integrate into that particular culture or that house, and then hip hop comes along as a cultural expression and now expresses what it's like spending time in the house on some Arnold going to Philip Drummond shit.
But at that same
Different
time,
strokes, like
what also changed though, Blue, is that the mother that you speak of, Mama, right, the black woman, she was now absorbed into their corporate structure, right? Remember, they opened up the gates and took the wet nurse, you know, from the house, you know, Big Mama, and allowed her to come and run the company now.
Yes.
Now she became, you know, she started
CEO.
out, right, all the way up to the...
She went from the cleaner to the CEO, right?
Right.
She was, again, so this is putting the trajectory of women, right? Because this is post-women's suffrage and all of that. So one woman gets elevated to a position where she can now become from a cleaner to a CEO, right? A single mother who's operating a home, raising her own children, and conquering the heights of corporate America to her man did not have access to.
Right.
Right? And then his woman that's at home is his mama, right? Now she gets to exercise her, right, fantasies that she has always been indoctrinated with. Case in point, he had to make a decision about a trade-off because of technology, right? The technology of the TV means I'm now putting black men in my living room, right? And my child is going to get sexually orientated, mentally stimulated by this nigga gyrating on TV.
Right.
Right? That's why they was telling James Brown and them, you got to make your covers white men.
Right.
And it wasn't
Sure,
because,
man.
it's going to sell in the South because they think it's a white group.
Exactly.
No, nigga. They know exactly who it is.
They
They
trying
know
to stop
what
that Wavington.
They don't want you to see that swag. That's that swag we talking about.
Yeah.
Right? That magnetic swag. They
Right.
make them choose up. They mad choosy.
Right.
Right? So they have a natural inclination, even based on the genetic disposition of what they remember, to be like, I want Long John Silver. As opposed to Porky.
For real.
Right? And
Right.
he know that. And that shit represents genetic annihilation to him. So how's he gonna respond to it? Why would you respond passively? Right? You will respond like a beta and be pushed out of motherfucking civilization and existence if you didn't take an aggressive approach.
Right.
So they came with the Great Society in the 1960s by way of LBJ. This is after they got rid of Kennedy.
Right.
Right? Because Kennedy was about to do radical things with King.
Right.
They came with the Great Society and they passed the Civil Rights Act, got rid of King. LBJ comes in, you know what I'm saying?
Dixiecrat.
And a Dixiecrat and lays out welfare, Social Security, Head Start, right? What other social programs can I reel off the top of my head that's still in place right now?
Medicaid.
Right? Medicaid, Medicaid.
Right.
All of this comes out of the Great Society.
Great Society. Right.
And then if you go and read the PDF called The Negro Family, written by Patrick Moynihan, the New York State or the New York State Senator.
Right.
Right? Patrick Moynihan laid the whole game plan out. He said these children should be designated for annihilation because they have a detrimental disadvantage. The fact that they was raised by women, they're not going to be tough enough to be productive men in society that will add on.
Right.
So there was like manumission. They was like, pull the plug on these niggas.
Right.
And they told them this. They said, we will attempt to allocate you funds from these different social programs, but if all else fail, you niggas better pick the dope up, right? And control your own underworld. They said you have to control the market because every other ethnic group, that's how they leveled up.
Right.
They say you niggas gotta control your own dope if all else fails.
Right.
And if not, they was like, can't do nothing with you niggas. We can't do nothing for you.
That's true.
Because you was raised in households with only mamas.
And that's the underpinning of the liberal.
They said that was the undesirables of society.
That's the underpinning of the liberal mindset of today. The Patrick Moynihan report, right? That's what a lot of the liberals, you know, that's how they move. That's where Hillary even comes with Super Predator, and then she precedes Patrick Moynihan as the senator.
As the senator,
right?
They all look at the senators in the seat, right? No, the governor.
The governor, right?
But the senator had came after they got rid of the black man, the blind man, and they brought the woman in.
Right. Yeah, homie, who they lined up.
Yeah.
Remember the blind mayor? Patterson.
Remember they lined them up?
Mad Fluke. They called him on the Mad Flukington. So, mad setup. That was one of the biggest setups.
Yeah, they folded for them.
Yeah. Lined them up.
It wasn't even fair.
Lined them up.
You see what going on though? Like the shelves is empty, you know. Yeah, ain't no full shelves in stores out there, you know. Like lots of things is off the shelf right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've been speaking about this since
Yeah,
last year,
like
so
like
we'll
the
get into
prices.
it.
Yeah, we got to because the prices is up right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Everything is up. You know what the word sound is?
Get some more.
Yesterday's price is not
Today's price, and that's a
Right.
fact.
You know what I'm saying? We living in that Iowa right there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Inflation, yeah.
Inflation to the realest
Super
value.
inflation, matter
So
of
let
fact.
me
Yeah.
ask real quick, did
Yeah.
the inflation start last year?
Inflation
Like
started in
before the
2020.
war?
2020,
Or-
it started.
It's in
Started
2020.
going up.
Yeah.
But I say really since Biden been in office though, let's keep
But
it real.
no, yeah,
'Cause
but-
even when Trump was in there, the prices was never this high. You know
No,
what I'm
they
saying?
wasn't, but remember-
and you know what I'm saying?
remember-
when he stepped out and this guy
Right.
stepped in.
But
let's
remember,
be-
let's revisit
Yeah.
2020.
Uh-huh.
Shelves was empty, was they not?
Yeah.
No
Did
doubt.
they get replenished?
But he
Right.
got replenished though. They
At
did.
one point,
They
though,
did
it felt like they wasn't.
Right.
The shit wasn't coming in because he had the embargo with China.
Right.
Remember, he's openly banging on them, saying this is the Kung Fu virus, and
Right.
they was holding back shit again.
The trade war started, then
trade
the
war-
thing
The
started.
trade war started before the pandemic.
Right, the trade war started before the pandemic,
Feel me?
and the way the war works, it could start out as a financial
Soft war.
a soft war
Right.
and escalate. So the escalation, why they kept calling it a war and an invisible enemy, but Trump was on the front lines already declaring that he called it the China flu, right?
Right.
So that gives you an example of he kept Wuhan, China flu before they started changing it up to the C-19 and all of these things. But he's giving you the point of origin of where this war came from,
Facts.
right?
Yeah.
So, as a result of that embargo, as a result of the tariffs and the taxes that they were putting on before this thing happened, when I was in the wholesale district, they were like, "Yo, prices is going up. We got to pay more for this stuff to come through customs, so we got to raise our prices, right?" And we were seeing, we were seeing shortages popping up. Then when this thing happened.
Because remember the trade war, the trade embargo also was over chicken legs in particular.
Right, the left.
Right, chicken legs, beef and pork.
Facts.
Because China owns Smithfield, which is the biggest meat processor of pork. It's in
Right.
North Carolina, right? They were utilizing pigs from North Carolina also to send them to China, or no, Fort Detrick was sending them from North Carolina to China to do virus research on them as well,
Right.
right? They had a hurricane in 2017 that was supposed to hit Florida. After them string of hurricanes that came in the summer, because
Right.
the 2017 hurricanes came after the solar eclipse of August 2017. Then came Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Maria, Hurricane Irma, and then there was one that was supposed to hit Miami, but it took a left
Right.
and went up the
Carolina.
Palm,
Yeah.
and it hit the Carolinas. It had wiped out all the pig farms, right? It was in September. I told niggas back then, I said, "What you think? These crackers ain't gonna bottle that shit up and figure out a way to sell it? You think they're
Right.
gonna take a loss
Right.
on them pigs?"
Right.
So, shout out to Gary No. He came out with the report saying they grinded the pigs up and started feeding the pigs pigs.
Right.
Right? They started feeding
Feeding
pigs pig feed.
Right.
Actual pig, grounded up pig.
Right.
Wow, that's funny.
And I'm telling niggas, that's where that pandemic came. That's where that shit come from. Fuck them
Right.
back. It's gonna come out. It's gonna come out because the pigs were being
People
sent
was
to
eating the food.
China through Smithfield. So then when the pandemic hit, they said we got a shortage because the meat packing places was catching the waves, right? It was everybody was catching the joint in the meat packing districts. So they had to shut them shits down. So the meat wasn't getting packed and processed. The cows was dying because of the farmer situation.
Right.
Right? So the dairy industry was suffering. The chicken industry was suffering. You feel me? And then they was coming on strong with the Impossible Burger. That's when Slutty Vegan was popping. And that's when a lot of, I'm just saying, coincidentally enough, 4 stores in the pandemic. Right? With the fake meat. Talk,
That's real. That's real sound. No, this thing chills for real. Keep it up. Because that's real. This is a bunch of fake meat.
Yeah,
popped off.
Impossible as fuck. That's Soylent Green. I ain't gonna bang too hard on Beyond Burger, but the Impossible is not getting the pass. That
They got
shit is
Impossible
Well,
pork.
Soylent
I seen
Green.
a
They doing
video,
it.
right, where they had this meat that they formed from a computer. You see
They
that?
3D printed it.
Yeah, they 3D printed the meat and it
Yeah.
came out just like the actual meat, and they just 3D printed things. You know what I'm saying? They got a machine that they do this with.
Right.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
what is they really doing? So what is the food really if they're really doing that? Because it's the substance. You see it, it's like plastic, a bowl of fruit. You see it there, but you can't really eat it.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the food they making
It's
now.
that virtual,
Yeah.
fake world we going
Yeah.
into.
Right.
Yeah, because in
Simulation
truth,
to the max.
Simulation. Yeah.
real food will actually make you burp.
Wow. When's the last time you burped?
You know what I'm saying? If you eating something real, you're gonna burp from it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We eat a
You
grape
let it
right
bubble
now,
up. Yeah.
you're gonna
Right.
burp. You know what I'm
When's the
saying?
last time you burped for some food?
Right.
That's real
Shit.
food because it has to have oxygen in it.
Right.
Mm.
It has to have oxygen, but it also has to have what?
Wow.
H3,
Mm-hmm.
not
Behind
H2.
the scenes came
Right.
Right.
You understand? So that's real food again. We need real food. We ain't burping. People burp. The only time they burp, you know when it is? Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving night.
Thanksgiving night is the burp night.
Over stuff.
Yeah, they overstuff with stuff and they burp up.
Yeah.
But you stuff
Acid
with all kind of
reflux.
stuff.
Right.
Stuffing and everything and that stuff.
Stuffing and stuff.
My point is that we gotta really realize that we gotta eat real food no more. They got thing where they got people eating everything with no seed.
Everything no seed.
Everything with no seed.
Everything with no seed.
Everything
But the
no
reality
seed.
is that's where we come from, a seed.
Right.
Everything has to come from a seed.
Everything. Right?
Right.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So we're already in the midst of them, once again, priming an artificial reality. Right?
Right. We're in the throes of it.
Right. We in the throes of
Yeah,
it.
early.
And I'm telling them, I'm like, look, this is the countdown, right? Man has a date with destiny. The main question is, will he mount the machine or will the machine mount him? Because he cannot avoid contact,
True.
right?
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable. So
Coming.
where we at? Like, what are we talking about? So if you got two things running concurrently in the reset, right? You have them creating an entire fake food industry when there's a food shortage,
True.
right? So if
Right.
I could come to you and be like, oh, I can make as fast as I can manufacture this is as fast as you can eat. And if I could do this quicker than it takes to raise cattle or grow food,
But where does those
Right.
little baby wings come from though?
look, we can't even, you know what I'm saying?
Where do little baby wings come from?
So
Like,
they have this thing running here where they talking about microplastics and all of the food and they're making a big deal about it.
yeah.
But
Right.
soy and plastic is only one molecule separated. So you're already eating plastic. They lying to people. Imagine this. Children have been born from the age of 0 to 1 epigenetically. If their mama was eating Cheetos and hot chips and blue soda, right? What is the nutrients and the material going into them in the womb to form them as a baby? But now they're born as a baby, right? More than likely, 7 out of 10, they're getting pulled through her side through a cesarean, a C-section, so they're not getting crowned, corona, right? They're not getting crowned by coming through the vaginal canal and getting the microbiome that's necessary for that child to build up his immunity, and he gets his script, his whole, yo, this is this is that, right? You can't do nothing without some dirt on you. You just can't, right? He's missing the microbiome, right? She's traumatized because she just got cut on. She put him on formula, not the breast, so he's not getting the colostrum fluid to activate the pineal gland by the suckling that comes by way of him connecting to the breast. She hit him with the bottle, she hit him with the formula.
Well,
You
let's
feel
speak
me?
on that though.
More plastic,
Let's speak on that though, because
right?
the,
More soy,
the
more-
energy that the breast milk gives, you know what I'm saying, is better for the youth off top.
Yeah,
Builds their immune. Yeah,
Build
right.
their immune system, everything.
That's why babies wasn't getting sick during this thing.
True. From
feel
breast,
me?
yes, from breast milk.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. So they got the women not breastfeeding. You understand? Calling the thing and saying, "Now there's something wrong with that."
Right.
But the natural part of actual birth is the breast milk. You understand? To even for youth to even get their first life source.
But it's like you said a minute ago, it's the programming. We can identify that through the use of what they call the fantasy industry, right? The fantasy industry is an industry that's one of the most overlooked industries that's responsible for the programming,
True.
right? So the fantasy industry is Hollywood.
Yeah.
The fantasy industry is
Weird.
the cartoons we watched growing up.
True.
The fantasy industry is the comic books that we read growing up. The fantasy industry is the video games that we played growing up. The fantasy industry is the Magi nation, monetized, compartmentalized, industrialized, and realized. Right? I just seen a thing that said Hello Kitty has grossed $850 billion, and they launched it in 1975, the year we came here, right? Wow. Somebody gave birth to an idea that existed in the imagination, right? In the mind's eye, on a mental plane, and brought it down and consecrated it to where it has, it's a whole entity, right? A whole industry, a whole entity, and it's grossed in a monetary value wise 850 B's. That part. Right? Yeah, check into that. Right? So we were having a conversation earlier. Blue mentioned that the episodes of G.I. Joe are now on YouTube, right? They dropped the original seasons.
They're streaming it right now.
They're streaming it.
Okay.
And when we watch the cartoons that we grew up watching, our generation, I can speak of, right? Your time is ticking. We were being programmed for the reality that we live in right now. Back then, when we were teenagers, when we were young adults, when we were the youth, when we were teens, when we had impressionable minds, it was feeding our imagination, the fantasy industry. We had comic books, the same movies that everybody is going crazy over in Marvel Universe. That's the comic books that was programming us to have us thinking about the multi-universe. Fantasy industry. I remember watching Star Wars and what it did to my imagination. How it opened up, how it gave me permission to see this shit for what it really was, galactically. Fantasy industry, imagination, programming, right? So the programming through all of these different, industries and whatnot has actually shaped the reality that we live in, because man is mind, all is mental. Sure. So we living in it. We living in our imagination. We're living in, we're living in within the programming that these industries have. So the same way that we could say that they've programmed the people to eat bad, I'll say that the work that the conscious community did, right, collectively, master teachers included, going back to the VHS days.
No doubt. Yes, it did. Remember that.
Y'all know about that.
Yeah.
To where we at right now.
And
I'm talking about.
Yes, it did.
We talking about all the way in the 80s, my brother. And it goes back before that, because Garvey and them was putting in work, Malcolm X videos, all of that stuff. So they were also creating a narrative. They were also programming. Elijah was programming. Father Allah was programming. Noble Drew Ali was programming. Marcus Garvey was programming. W.E.B. Du Bois was programming.
That's real.
Right?
That's so real. So real.
Bob Marley was programming. Peter Tosh was programming. Selassie I was programming. The Black Panthers were programmed. I mean, we've been getting programmed. And we've been getting with the program. So I don't have, I can't allow the victim mode, because the victim mode really don't exist to be like, yeah, I was programmed. I was on some, low vibration, low frequency, under the spell. But I'm paying attention to how many people we broke out the spell.
Yes, sir.
That's all I could really account for. You know what I mean? I can't count the zombies right now because it's too many of them. I could say that over the years, we could gauge and we could measure. We have a tool of measurement that I know when we started out and we was in certain places, in certain buildings. Yeah. I never was somewhere. I never wasn't somewhere where I wasn't supposed to be. Like if I missed some shit, then it was So we was where we were supposed to be, because timing is everything. So our timing was impeccable. Our vantage point and the way that we see this shit is completely unique and different from anybody other's vantage point that I know personally.
Truth and right. Truth and right.
So I can measure I can see the growth. I can see the expansion, the exponential growth, a mathematical equation, an algorithm. This shit has multiplied in ways that, you know, Bitcoin has multiplied. It has the same trajectory as all of these cryptocurrencies. Everything that's going to the moon, my nigga. If you measure what we've done, and if you know, and put it in those terms,
This is all facts.
right? Proof of work,
Yeah.
proof of value. It exists. The whole world is lit. Everywhere that I go, my world is lit.
Truth and right. That's a deal.
That's all that matters at the end of the day. Wherever I go, everybody is woken up. They like, yo, I took the red pill. What's popping?
This is
You know what I mean?
Yo, I got something for y'all before
Yeah.
we go.
So,
we got a little gift for y'all.
yeah, but hold on, Rev. We're gonna seal it right quick and just let me light this incense right quick.
You gonna light the
and let them
incense?
play this video. We're gonna do that.
We
right
gonna
quick.
come back real
Yeah,
quick.
just
then.
hold tight
Alright.
in the hot minutes, you know what I mean?
Yes,
But
sir.
For real, no doubt, family. Give
Yeah,
it
man.
It's more heat. That's indeed. More heat. Love it. Yeah, so in a minute, we're coming forward. One. Yeah, wow, that's a good time. Nah, I wanted to seal for a second so I can light this incense. Just like let the camera flip for a minute. 'Cause I know
peace
she
to the
was telling me
family,
time
peace to
was
the
running out.
family.
So what was you telling me now? With the it was 1 more minute? Okay. 1 more minute, it will be an hour.
right.
But we're not running out of film yet.
You said, well,
I said we good on film right now, right?
yeah, but if you want to have another episode,
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying we still good for like a little bit. All right, cool. Just want to make sure.
We got exactly 1 minute.
No, that was just then before like that hour. So we got to an hour point.
So we
Nah,
can
we
go
good.
ahead.
Pretty good.
I'll see you. It's only gonna take 15 seconds.
Give us a second to roll up and clear up. all
War
that stuff.
Report lecture,
Yeah, just wanna
April
make sure I see it
16th,
right.
KTLUniversity.com. You get your ticket, KTLUniversity.com. The Law 44 presents the War Report.
I'ma pin it.
That's on April 16th at 4:44 p.m. this Saturday. Going in.
Yeah, tap in.
Collegiate and strategic. We taking it all the way there. Trust me.
Yeah, tap in. We're gonna be on Melanin Mondays tonight on YouTube. Know the Ledge Media. Yeah, definitely get your tickets. Let me put it in the chat.
The A gotta become the new spot, the old spot. The new old spot.
You don't got no choice. We here, so what? You know what I mean?
Smoke.
Gotta put your, you know what I mean? Gotta do your work.
You want something to drink though? Some tea or something?
Yeah, I'll take some
Yeah,
tea.
yeah. I want some grab that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, feel like a little sick.
If you got tickets for the 4th, you good. You good. We got you. We'll send you you'll be able to participate in the 16th. If you got tickets, you're good. You know what I mean? And it'll be recorded, so you'll have access to the replay. Worry, you good. Don't worry about it. Everything is on KTLUniversity.com. You missed me on Mondays? Yeah, I took a it was a spring break. I took what is known as the spring break. I was on spring break. So I'll be back tonight. You feels me?
No, that was cool.
Appreciate it. If y'all in Atlanta, make sure that y'all pull up to the Vegan Dream Donuts. You know what I mean?
It's all a dream.
It was all a dream. They got some of the best tasting vegan donuts in the A. It's right here in the West End.
Yeah, you gotta break down the university. How long that been? I know y'all had it in the works.
Yep. We finally launched it. Oh yeah, nah. We about to have weekly classes and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, membership.
You give me my membership.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I was able to build it while I was down here. Just just building.
Because I've heard you was, I don't know if you was in and out fully, but I'm just saying I'm hearing, yo, Red was over here.
Oh no, I was back in. Yeah, I was in and out.
I was missing you a lot too.
Mm-hmm. I was pulling up and yeah.
So now we here now.
Now we here.
KTL University.
Brother Richard, he out here too.
For sure. For sure. Oh, what?
Yeah.
Black Magic.
King Simon out here. What's in this drink? They said it looked healthy. This is the sour sop peppermint vine tea.
Yes,
Sour sop peppermint vine tea. Lime tea. You know how they got the videos with the sound with the people be eating and like, what's that ASMR? Yeah, you won't get that here, but imagine how this thing tastes right here.
It's true.
Strong
A
drink.
natural spread, you know. We call it strong drink, you know.
Strong drink. This is
Oh, wow.
woo.
Yeah. They got too many soft drinks on the shelf, you know.
Not a soft drink, but a strong drink.
Strong drink.
Yeah, talk black to me.
Yeah, right.
Not a soft drink, but a strong drink. Oh, that's a shirt.
That's a dig. That's all. Hey.
I like that. I like that.
Good. You back in the thing hot. Yes, sir.
Yeah, dude. Oh, America says she want 4 donuts. What up, America? Legend.
Peace, America.
Peace, America. Y'all had America on Think Champs?
Oh, yeah, America's good people. No doubt.
Oh, no, Haman is, Haman. Yeah, Haman is,
Set it up.
yeah. We need you on Think Champs, America. I'm going to set it up for you.
No doubt.
Yeah.
She definitely has. That's my sister, though. For real. What is it say? Big up. Big
Strong
up.
drink, not a soft drink. A strong drink.
You see that light?
Yeah.
We doing like 4 minutes?
Yeah, boom. We just basically lit the incense burning. We're back in the building again. Building. You know what I'm saying? So I like where we were going with it though.
Right.
Because, we took it black, you know what I'm saying, to the 80s vibration, you know?
Right.
I kind of just want to kind of build on how we still looked out for our community though. Take it back to like, you know what I'm saying, how...
Program it.
You know what I'm saying? One still, you know what I'm saying, bigger ones still share knowledge, you know what I'm saying, and build with us, and, you know what I mean, and broke it down to us so we can still have the jewels that we can spill right now, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
to one.
Well-
to kind of go, you know,
It was a responsibility, you know, to be somewhat aware, like, because they know that the smarter that you was, you know, the less danger you would be to them. You had to be an intelligent hoodlum. You know what I'm saying? If I gotta worry about you, if I gotta think about you, and keep, you know what I'm saying, keep an eye and hold your hand and shit like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's gonna be extra work.
oh yeah, true,
You know what I mean? So it wasn't really you just had to be sharp. You had to have street knowledge. You know, is the best way to explain it. You had to be an intelligent hoodlum. You just couldn't necessarily be a knuckle dragger because, you know, that might endanger mommy. You know what I'm saying? We can't have too many knuckle draggers around. We used to regulate our communities. You know, this is when even a hustler, you saw potential in a child. Where you like, I'm gonna pay for your sneakers. I'm gonna send you to this school. I'm gonna make sure you. They don't even do the bus trips no more, right?
We identify.
So we lost our humanity in the process.
Right.
You feel me? And I think when Cash Rule came around, you know, that mantra,
Right.
when they totally became, because think about it, last time I probably heard about bus rides was like 94, 95.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Cash Rule comes in as a mantra and it's stacking. You know what I'm saying? You're not even thinking about that.
Yeah, cash money quick.
Right? Yeah. You that bread is going towards, you know, wells, ice now, and you know, people became cold in regards to how you condition the next generation to come up under you. It went from, we don't love these hoes to we don't love these babies. And it wasn't like that in hip hop before. There was a mantra, you know what I'm saying, where you still
Lauryn
spoke to
Hill.
these children and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, for real.
So-
But look, after Yummy though, right? After that particular era with Pop, when niggas first got introduced to the Baby Killer by way of Yummy, right? From Chicago.
Right, 9
11-year-old, 9 or 11.
He was putting in work at
He
9.
was putting in work at 9. I think they bodied him when he was 11. He was a stone cold killer. So, when that aspect came in of the actual personification and personalization of the super predator, niggas stopped caring too, man.
But
Everybody became out. Before, it used to not be like that. Everybody was fair game.
right, but this is what I'm saying about programming. And programming is definitely not, I won't say responsible, but if all is mental and groupthink is real, and thought forms are energies, right? Then we know that if we are collectively programmed by the same music, right? And we watch the same movies, and we watching the same videos, and we subscribing to the same mantras, right? Because they were not giving you just hooks. Niggas was giving you mantras. Money, hoes, bank rolls, and clothes. Fuck
All
bitches,
the
get
niggas
money.
on.
You know what I mean? Get rich, die trying. These are mantras, right? So the code started to change. I would identify the crack era as the era that cracked the egg, right? That's the time that the egg have cracked. That's the crack in the egg and whatnot. That's when things started to change for the worse, and things began to erode and leak. Foundations were broken because never in a time prior to that did you have such a
This when Stripe was born from Gizmo. Nigga.
Stripe is born from Gizmo, and
Stripe
yeah,
came
this is when the
popped out of
Gremlins
Gizmo
come
back.
out, right?
The Gremlins,
So
man.
keep in mind, even with the rise, the break started when heroin hit, right? Because it began to, our people began to do something different.
Strange for some change, right?
Beyond just strange for a piece of change, it affected the communities in a very different way than the upward mobility that we were, that path that we were on prior to us being intercepted by King Heroin. So that's the erosion, right? So the programming, right? We went from black exploitation movies where they were showing you the programming, right? Black men being active, right? They were hip and hopping against the man, Mr. Charlie. They were putting they were letting it dump on them, right? Some of the movies they were drilling, they were sending them up. You feel me? Right. Black. You saw our women, right, in the archetype of a Pam Grier and whatnot. They were giving you the quote unquote upper echelon of the archetype.
Yeah, Fred Williams.
I'm just saying of the
Yeah,
archetype.
True.
Especially for those of us who identify in Northwest of Mexico into this indigenous lifestyle. That's the archetype right there. Her whole makeup is a Indian queen or whatever you want to call it.
Yes, indeed.
Right? Coffee. You know what I'm talking about? And a few others. But they beating up, they whipping on the mafia and the mob, who during the Numbers era and everything prior to that, they were, as you can see in the Bumpy Johnson Godfather Harlem series, they were terrorizing Harlem.
That's true.
Where melanated people took nickels and got themselves out of poverty by playing the numbers. That was created by Casper Holstein out of St. Croix, who was a janitor in Wall Street, and took that information that he was gathering, put it in a jumbo, and created the numbers game, policy banking in Harlem, and lifted up our people.
That's real.
Right?
You saying we made the lotto?
Yeah, we made the lotto. The lotto comes out of them infiltrating the numbers, the policy bankers and whatnot. But we rose, and that spread all through the South and everywhere.
Yeah.
And, we got dream books for numbers now. It has a whole, it's right. So the programming of, if you listen to 70s soul music, even when Curtis Mayfield and them was talking about the Pusher Man and all of that, it wasn't the most dominant message or of the program. It was subliminal. It was given the subconscious, which would be the underworld, the dark side, the streets, the gutter, the trenches, whatever you want to call it.
Right,
you feel me? The underbelly.
True.
But they had, but we also had a frequency of what is the most powerful energy on the planet, which is love. Those songs were created in love. No the resonance, the frequency was the highest, one of the highest ever recorded. You know what I mean? Give me a mixtape from Kimmit if y'all want to put it on the verses and the running, because I'm sure that that it was popping back then, but recorded.
Nah, because it's true. Because when you check it, when they took two elements out the music, it was dead already.
Right.
When they took love and God out the music.
Mm-hmm.
Because those two elements, they took out. You understand? Because right now, we supposed to be on divine timing. Because that's what we're moving on.
Right.
We're moving on divine timing. Right? But now, the mind state they got our youth on is what?
Demon time.
Demon time.
Right. But we could get into that.
Right? So we have to, because that's real.
Think about this, right?
Yes, it did.
And I want to give us, let's go through a timeline of programming.
True.
Right? For a New Yorker.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm going to speak from that standpoint, because, New Yorkers, we travel, though. We multifaceted. We not just stuck in the boroughs.
Right, yeah, truth and right.
We soak up cultures, you know what I mean? We culture sponges.
Truth and yeah.
We birth cultures in different places. You know what I mean? We're exporters of swag.
True.
We are the DoorDash of being dashing, my niggas. Like, we're dashing through the snow. Or the 12 or the 400 horse.
Niggas had suicide skis with niggas was fashionable in snowstorms.
Anyway.
Yo, we were sophisticated savages.
For everything. Niggas
Hold
had
up.
for ski ranges and we ain't even skiing.
Niggas had ski, the whole ski fit.
Any skier ever was, and we never been on a ski.
We were skiing on a D train.
Skiing on a D train.
Skiing to Macy's. Niggas were skiing out of Macy's. Yo, we put on ski suits to ski out of Macy's with all of their polo. How about that? So,
That's too sad.
Facts.
That is facts, for real.
But
isotoners, nigga.
Wait for the movie.
So, my thing is, we've been doing what we've been doing as long as it's been being done. This time that we're in. So the programming that our generation received. I'm a 70s babies, right?
70s.
We have a unique perspective, and this is not to shame anybody that was born later. You know what I mean? It has, because everybody has their everybody. It's perspectives. It's about being able to see things from a certain programming standpoint.
You understand my point too, before you would go there, King.
Yeah.
Is just that 70s was where the Afro was. You understand?
You seen that?
Yeah,
It was the switch though.
The Afro, because you
Right.
remember say Soul Train in the 70s.
Right.
It was different than it really got all the way up into the other eras.
Right.
The 70s was the bell bottoms, you know what I'm saying, the real true soul, the swag when we dancing together,
Big time.
Kick your feet. So we was already dead.
Can I tell you?
You know what I'm saying? And our health was great.
Right. We were glowing.
Fat people.
We have primary source.
In the 70s.
Look, we got primary source, and that's the Ebony and the Jet magazine page. What was the page that they had the Beauty of the Week on the? The Jet Beauty. But what page was she on? 48. Page 48 of the Jet magazines is primary source that the black woman is God, and she had did this earth back in the 70s. Like runaway statues out of a museum. The museum was missing some pieces because they was outside on Jet magazine. So the switch happened. I'm gonna tell you when afros turned into perms, and my father put me on the game.
And then don't forget.
Hold on.
Don't forget the Jerry curl.
No, but perms precede the Jerry curl. The black man went into the movie theater to watch Superfly and came out with a perm. That's what my father told me. He said black men went into Superfly with afros and dashikis and came out with perms and leather coats. That movie, the programming. Keep this in mind. Like I said, we're in the fantasy industry, right? Where small hats have dominated that world up until today. Social media and the metaverse and everything. You go to a Bitcoin conference and tell me who's there, right? They're dominating the fantasy industry. They're behind the comics. They're behind the cartoons. They're behind Hollywood. They're behind the music, right? They're behind the toys. They're behind the porn industry. They're behind what else? The commercials, advertising, marketing. Through Edward Bernays and whatnot. He gave them the blueprint.
Don't forget the promoting of homosexuality.
So all of that programming is being done from a group of people, right, who are in a place that we can identify, right, especially for my Rastafarians out there living in Zion, right, for the brothers and sisters that are fans of the Matrix, and you know what Zion represents. So the Zion, you know, these people are the quote-unquote string pullers, or the quote-unquote the Wizard of Oz's, the man behind the curtain, that are controlling through programming through the fantasy industry. They're behind the video games.
That's so real. So definitely behind that.
Huh?
Yeah, indeed.
You know what I'm talking about?
No doubt.
So these individuals, right, have been able to manipulate through their influence, with others playing the same, you know, playing the game with them, right? All of our people. So the idea of becoming a pimp, right, and abandoning, because there was the scene where they stood down on the conscious niggas. That was the beginning, and it plays out with Sharif and Boys in the Hood. It plays out in Menace. It plays out to where they completely clowned out the conscious figure. They plays out in School Days.
They showed you it in movie Panther.
They showed you it in Panther, where they paid the gang, the FBI, used the gangs to run down and embody the revolutionaries, the BIEs. Remember, the extremists, the woke versus the conscious. The it plays out in many places.
Panthers versus the U.S.
Yeah, the Panthers versus us, things like that. So the programming that we've been receiving through our music throughout the decades. Remember, we're 30 years in to the mixtape era, to DMX, to the locks, to everybody saying that they killing babies, tying up, you know what I mean? To 8 million Rich and Poe references. The programming is consistent. We've watched World Star from its earlier days up until now. The things that we've collectively seen in the programming has now manifested. So when you talk about the drill rappers, when you talk about the Bronx drill, when you talk about the rise of the Chicago drill movement and all of that, when you talk about how all of these things come about, I would ask you, is it not the programming? They were paying. They listened to the same music that we did, and they was like, "Nah, we gonna make this shit real."
True.
So when we were coming up, we had, we were 13 and 14 and 15, and yes, they was out there laying shit. You feel me? They was out there staining. There was a lot of stains getting taken, but the only thing is that we didn't have multi-million-dollar record deals. The whole world wasn't tweeting, watching our tweets. You feel me? We didn't have the audience. The audience that we did have, we put on because it was the whole Flatbush was watching. You still in the Coliseum.
Right.
You still in the war field. It's still Hunger Games. It's still Kill or Be Killed. So the intensity of what it has become is understandable because it represents something that I've seen before. However, now they got phones. They got millions of followers.
Yep.
They get lit. they talking about shit and they really doing it. So imagine if all of this stuff that you heard the Locks talk about on their mixtapes, they was really word coming back that they was really like Jada was really drilling shit the way that he said.
Facts. And you
Right.
know, you would always check when you ran into Yonkers niggas. Like,
Yo, they really drill. You know what I mean?
really
But
did that bad.
now life is imitating art. Art is imitating life. The programming is so consistent.
That's true.
And I could point out that there's been programming on this side or on the other side or on what it was considered to be between the thinnest love lines, because it's a very thin line. It's almost a quantum field. They coexist together now.
and the thing about this, right?
Oh,
Now one of them niggas got pinched yet, right? Concisely from their lyrics. Now one of them was made example because murder ain't got no statute of limit. And the only way for them to be verified is if his things can be confirmed. They like, some really put that work in. If it's on YouTube and I can watch it, so they got whole episodes
Sure.
where the niggas is detailing everybody that was caught and they pinning it to somebody who bodied them.
right.
Even if them dudes are still dead, they had accomplices, and it would be a walkaway case. None of them joints get prosecuted. So what is that even telling people? It's the same shit that they was being told when Jay was in City Hall in the White House. But this nigga's a known trap racked up, you know what I'm saying, drug dealer in the middle of a drug war. But they never sanctioned or censored or stepped. And now, back then they would be like, who does that? There is no censorship. It's freedom of speech. Try to tell me that right now, right? So what just happened? All of a sudden, we just woke up and there was no more freedom of speech. And that's okay when it comes to us talking about C-19. But someone's in the White House talking about moving, yay, right? I'm just saying, they never saw it. So that was giving them the dog whistle and the subliminal programming to say, oh, shit, coke rap and crack rap, that's the path to freedom. You know what I'm saying? Because you can do it and go and rap about it and you'll never get touched. It is the same thing with the bodies.
Yeah, because when you look at the results now of what the music has done, oh my gosh, you got these youth don't even want to wear their pants at all anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, to the point is that I was like, you know, they don't even care. You know what I'm saying? Even to what they doing, what they saying, nothing matters to them. You know.
So let me ask you.
They let go
all-
everything.
Keep going, but are we desensitized? Like, does this pattern make the world around it desensitize itself to it? Like,
Yes, I'm
have
saying.
we seen too much death? It don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We in the Kali Yuga, bro.
You know,
like
yeah.
at the end of the day, you know, like I said, at the end of the day, the reality is that if you lived through some shit and you saw what you saw and you participated in that reality, then this reality shouldn't really shock you because this is something that you are familiar with. Right, especially if you from the streets, it's this. What I see is, you know, the quote unquote lack of, you know, elders for counsel, youth for war.
Right.
When I examine a lot of these cases, it seems that either fate works well with the DAs and the prosecutors, or there's a federal, you know, surveillance, right? Federal Bureau of Investigation. There are some investigators who are surveilling different groups of young black men, and they decide when some of these men begin to wake up, or when they begin to want to, you know, I don't think I want to do this shit anymore. You know, they miraculously start getting caught up in sweeps and whatnot. You know, the feds will come and sweep them up.
They care about those bodies.
And then the youth who are left behind, right? The young warriors. Because remember, when we talking about the Bronx, these are 14, 15, 16, and 17-year-olds. When we talked about when Chief Keef and them was getting busy in Chirac in 2012, 16, 17, 18. When we talk about Brooklyn Drill with Pop Smoke in them, they was 16, 7. Pop Smoke died at 20. right? And looked like he was like 30,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, when I was 15, 16, niggas was staining shit. If we had Instagram and YouTube and all of that, people doing YouTube investigations, you know how many bodies they would have been talking about?
For real. That's true.
I come from that. So what I'm saying is I can't act like this shit. Oh my goodness, I don't understand. No, nigga, I understand what it is. And their programming is Grand Theft Auto, right? We didn't get we got Duck Hunt, my nigga.
Right.
Rambo, G.I. Joes and whatnot. Keep this in mind. Contra, right. And we were programmed from the comic book days and the cartoon days to embrace the anti-hero, right? We were always rooting for the villain. You understand? It's more niggas that wanted to be Decepticons than Autobots. It's more people that collected Destro and Cobra Commander than Hawk and Duke. Right? It's more people that was rooting for Venom before they was rooting for Spider-Man. So the anti-hero was sold to us through, the A-Team, Knight Rider, Magnum PI, Miami Vice. These were the subtle, you know what I mean? They was feeding us, all of this stuff. Remember when Superman went dark? On part 3? Right, Bizarro World. Like, they were feeding us, and wrestling gave us the anti-hero, right? The comic books gave us the anti-hero, right? The video games rolled out the anti-heroes. So it's like we always was kind of rooting for the villain, and Darth Vader is us. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. They was always against us anyway.
Right. And we were always villainized. We were demonized. When they draw about these things in the fantasy industry, these orgs and whatnot, like Angelina Jolie in Moorland, right? She's the queen of the Moors. And Maleficent. We're the orgs that came out the mud in Lord of the Rings. We're all of these things that they speak of.
The avatars.
Right. So they've demonized the black god. They've demonized the super sapiens and whatnot. They demonized, the erect man. You know what I'm talking about?
That's
They've
true.
demonized Hiram. So the programming is saturated with low self-esteem, doctrine, technology, right? To have you forfeiting your birthright and your power and your mind's eye to something that's completely bleached out because you identify as bleached.
True.
So that's the avatar that they give you. That's your anime. They're going to give you blonde hair, blue eye because black means bleached and blonde.
Wow.
So, that's like anime in Japan. Why is it, Ken dolls and whatnot? Like, what's that about? Oh, my goodness. We got the drippington. Hold on, the color, the patterns.
I know. I wanted y'all to switch it.
Right.
Nah, man, that's from Messiah. We gonna get the sizes right off wax.
Yes, the legend.
That's for y'all too. Basic chemistry. That's a new joint. $30 open joint.
Yes. You got the drip.
Yes, sir.
One of the joint. Okay.
Yeah, the Messiah behind this too. So,
Shout out to Messiah, the legend. I see you, King. Salute, King. Yes. Yeah, big drip. I fell in love with it. Hey. Right? So, my thing is this. The youth grow. They become wise. If they make it to be the ripe old ages of, 30. As you can see in the Drink Champ interviews, a lot of people that you never would thought would be civilized have been civilized. These old, that's why I love these podcasts that's been popping up, because they're showing you that your hip hop heroes and the people who you was mad scared of when you was listening to them, are articulate, have a great story, could speak from their heart. They have wisdom in their. I was listening to Consequence on Drink Champs. Great story, yo. He's one of the illest ghostwriters. Sometimes you forget people's worth and whatnot. You know what I'm talking about? I remember seeing Beanie Siegel on the show and whatnot, just talking and whatnot. That was different for me. Like, this is Beans, my nigga. You know what I mean? Like, Broad Street Bully. You know, I remember watching Prodigy dropping gems. My thing is this, you know, going back to what I was saying earlier, we really live in a new world. We the new world order. Because Jay-Z is the face of woke rap. Charlemagne is the face of wokeness. I'm just saying, like, some of your favorite athletes are like vegan and whatnot. You know, like, there's a wave that we should acknowledge that has covered, terraformed, you know, the masses, right? So when we could complain about the drill and, you know, the drillers is drilling and watching YouTube as well. When they see me in blue, they salute us. We the OGs. They do.
That's what's up, for real.
They pulling up. So we can never undermine the collective. This is not about red and blue. We're the twin pillars. We're the twin pillars in which, you know, the light shines through and the arch degree is on top of us. Right? So our vantage point once again is that whenever people got into the building, we was already there. We already set the tables up. Everything was already set up when we got there. And I know who was there when I got there. I could count them on my hands. So I seen a lot. And I can measure the impact. And the impact is immeasurable. And you can't even put a price tag to it. If I decide to cash my check in, you know, I might crash the system. Pay us in crypto, though. So, you know, the work that Bobby Hemmett has done, the work that Dr. Phil Valentine has done, the work that Dr. Sabi has done, the work that Dr. Delbert Blair has done, the work that Dr. Francis Cress Wilson has done, the work that Dr. Africa has done, the work that the minister has done, the work that Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, all of the great ones, Garvey, like the impact. Man has to save himself. Dr. Ben, they gave you the keys. They laid the quote unquote foundation. It can never be, you can never break that foundation. And they are amongst the pantheon of the great ones now. They're amongst the pantheons of the ancestors. So now you really can't.
Right, the ones they study.
Right. So there's nothing that you could do to their energy now. You could summon them. Yeah, so what happens when the drillers start summoning them? But they got to grow into that first. You feel me? It's the Hunger Games. This is their rites of passage. There's really nothing we could do about it at this point. But continue to be who we are and continue to build and continue to influence the influencers who are influencing the influential. Right? That's how we got to do it. And I promise you, we've created all kind of outs and exits on the highway to motherfucking hell, right? And a detour on the road to the riches. Look at all of the information that has flooded the internet about financial literature. Where do you think that comes from? Was that born out of nowhere? Was that not a thought that was planted from the conscious community on numerous occasions?
No doubt, for real.
Did they not see somebody hopping out of foreigns and doing all of that from this side?
Yeah, that's no real. That's
Manifesting wealth?
We're about to seal it up, though.
Yeah, that part.
That's real, King. Give thanks, because that's flavor.
That part.
Like, keep it hot, because that's real, though.
Right, on that note.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
No,
man.
but give thanks to that thing's doing blaze it up and can't. Yo.
Yes, you done know.
Always.
On the title like Ting Chumps.
You
know?
We gotta know.
Another one in, King. Yeah, this is what, episode 7?
7 season 5.
Yeah, Yeah,
Y'all
that
make sure y'all
magic
tune
of 7.
in. Yo, we is in the episode
Thanks
with
for coming
Blazing.
through, yeah.
Appreciate my brethren coming in. And you already know what you did. This is what? The
The
thing.
champs.
One love, yo.
One love. One love.
Boy, he. That was hot. So we gotta get it set.
We out, y'all.
Up right here too. That'll be cool.